Kim Saft, licensed clinical social worker. I'm a doctorate in transpersonal psychology. I've been in private practice for over 20 years. This is me helping you transform your life. Riva! All right. So I want to talk to you today about a concept you might not be aware of, but every action we take sends a message from self to self. So every action we take, or those that we don't take, inactions, they send a message from self to self. So we want to start being aware, being more cognizant of what messages we're sending from self to self with our actions or our inactions. Because those messages we're sending to ourselves matter. Yeah, the messages we're sending to ourselves through our actions or our inactions, they're developing our ongoing sense of self, right? They're the basis of this relationship we're developing with ourselves. And we want to develop a relationship that's supportive, compassionate, kind, loving, being our own bestie, right? So we want to send messages from self to self that support that relationship. A lot of times, before doing this work, unconsciously, sometimes consciously, we're sending messages from self to self that we don't matter, our needs aren't important, we have no worth, no value, communication is conflict. We're sending all kinds of messages to ourselves when we're showing up critically, shamefully, disdainfully, from our fear and insecure side. Yeah. So thinking about the messages we're sending, and then making sense of why we send them, right? Of 1, 2, 3, awareness, acceptance without judgment with compassion, and then choice, is that working for me or working me? So we want to raise our awareness to the messages we typically send from self to self with our actions or our inactions. We want to make sense of them, acceptance without judgment with compassion. That's probably what was modeled for you in your family origin. It's probably what you learned. It's probably habit. It probably makes sense. Yeah. And is that working for you or working you? It might be working you. And you might want to start showing up with new messages from self to self that support the relationship you want to grow and develop, one of love, compassion, support, empathy, higher quality of life. It's all about that relationship with self, right? Relationship self to self determines my higher quality of life. So thinking about what actions I want to send, or what actions I want to engage in that support the messages I want to send from self to self. I matter. I have worth and value. My needs are important. I trust myself to advocate for myself. Right, so if you have a need and I have a need and I automatically defer my needs and put your needs over mine, what's the message from self to self? Well, it's pretty clear. Your needs are more important than mine. Fear and insecure side's driving. Right. Authentic side, my needs matter. I have worth and value. Right. So when I show up and share my truth, message self to self, I matter. My truth is worth sharing. I advocate for me. I got my own back. Yeah, all kinds of messages from self to self. When I eat healthy food that nourishes my body on this journey, message self to self, I matter. I take care of myself. I nourish myself with healthy fuel. Yeah. When I'm eating processed gunk and junk, message self to self, I don't take care of myself. I don't matter. I can't look out for me. Yeah. So those are just some examples. Start collecting the data. What messages are you sending from self to self with every action or inaction you're taking or not taking? And see if they're the messages you want to send to get to higher quality life.